People with severe avoidant attachment, regardless of whether it's dismissive or fearful, are more likely to experience depression and physical ailments in their lives. And there's a reason for this. First, understand that avoidants avoid. They avoid the processing of painful emotions. They avoid dealing with issues. They bottle up their emotions and they try their best to detach from them. This goes back to childhood. This is a person that was emotionally neglected by their parents or caretakers, and their feelings were routinely dismissed, if not outright reprimanded and punished. If they showed a negative emotion as a child, there were consequences. They were never shown how to process any kind of painful emotions in a healthy way. They were shown that those emotions were not welcome, so they bottled them up, they suppressed them. And because these emotions never get processed, you have a lifetime of negative, painful emotions that are unhealed, unaddressed, unprocessed, lying below the surface. This causes elevated cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It contributes to anxiety. And because this person doesn't process stress, the stress never gets released and it's always lying underneath the surface. This can lead to depression, generalized depression. And because the avoidant doesn't self-reflect, because self-reflection is too painful, because that requires taking accountability, and accountability confirms their inner core wound of defectiveness, they don't process these emotions. And this will lead to this depression that they can't even understand. They can't articulate it because they don't reflect on their feelings. They just feel gloomy underneath the surface. This also causes a dysregulation in the HPA axis. The HPA axis is the part of the brain that regulates things like anxiety and cortisol. Well, because these things are never being processed and these cortisol levels are never being lowered or released, the HPA axis gets out of whack. Now, this elevated cortisol, this anxiety, can lead to physical ailments. It's been scientifically proven that stress and anxiety, when unmanaged, can actually lead to physical ailments. Avoidants, while they're not the only ones to get this, are more prone to things like autoimmune disorders. That's because their system is out of whack and their immune system is heavily affected by things like cortisol and anxiety. Yes, other people that are not avoidants can get autoimmune disorders too. There's various reasons why people can develop such diseases. But avoidants, especially severe ones, are more prone to these type of ailments. And it all goes down to the fact that this is a person that bottles up their stress rather than releasing it. They suppress emotions rather than processing them. And it does lead to both mental as well as physical ailments in their lives. Healing these core attachment wounds can go a long way to this person leading a healthier, happier life with their relationships, their mental health, as well as their overall physical health. It all ties in together. But as long as this person continues to avoid, it negatively affects them in multiple areas of their lives. Self-reflection is a key part of healing this, but self-reflection is something that is very difficult for avoidants. Because they weren't loved as a child the way they needed, at least it wasn't shown to them, they grow up feeling defective, like there's something wrong with them, that they are not lovable. And if they self-reflect and take accountability for any behaviors or face their fears or face their emotions in general, it confirms to them in their own mind that they are in fact defective. It's too painful. They don't go there. So they stick their head in the sand like an ostrich and they let all these painful emotions just pile up and build up underneath the surface. And that can lead to these issues such as depression and physical ailments.